only thing I can think about is like if you were to like not be in church and then you just go on a porn binge.
Wow.
That's sugar in the tank.
Whew, okay. You went all the way to the left. Okay.
But I'm thinking about, if you out there and you looking at porn, that's sugar in the tank. And I'm going to start serving again.
Oh, what?
Gosh,
no.
Yeah, you got sugar in your tank.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
And 5, 4, 3, 2.
Action.
Welcome back. I'm Heath.
I'm Bernie.
And it's the Heath and Bernie show. Yeah.
See, I'm warming up to it.
Yeah. You did a little practice.
I was on the cue. I was right on when you was going to do that little jingle.
Yes.
I'm trying.
Well, as you can see, we are not at a home in our normal studio. We are not in the RV. We are in Vegas.
Yay!
This is my first time in Vegas. I've never been to Vegas before. And Bernie, tell them why we're in Vegas.
We are in Vegas because I have 2 aunts that live here, and I have some other cousins that live here. Nephews, cousins and nephews. Anyway, my mom's younger sisters, they live here. And so me and my sisters who are in California, we all met here to come visit my aunts. So, and Heath had never been here to Las Vegas. I've been here several times. And so we wanted to come out here and visit my aunts. And so my sisters met us here.
So this is yet another example of how when folks are so busy, focus on bills, businesses, babies, and the Bible, that they don't prioritize having fun. This is another example of Bernie. Last time it was me in the RV having fun. This time it's Bernie visiting her family having fun. And then having her sisters come out here. We're in an Airbnb. It's a really nice Airbnb.
Yeah.
Shout out to the person who takes care of this thing. This thing is very, very nice. But we're in an Airbnb, and we came out here because I wanted Bernie to have fun with her family and her sisters. We've been out here for what? Since Sunday, and it's Thursday. Yeah. So we leave tomorrow. So it's been a whole week. And he knows
anytime I'm that's the funnest time for me is being with my family. I'm the youngest of 6, and being with them is like my happy time. Besides being with Heath.
No, I can be here or not be here. It doesn't matter.
Nope. He got to be here too.
Irrelevant.
He got to be here too. But
no.
And when he's here and then they're here, then everything's complete.
I'm irrelevant.
No,
they don't need me to be here because Bernie will have fun. Normally Bernie just ignores me the whole time and just spends time with the family. But I know my place.
He does not get all my attention like he normally does when I'm not around them.
Right. And I know my place when I'm around Bernie and her family. I know my place. I am third fiddle. I'm the person who helps coordinate the directions and organizes things and helps manage the flow of stuff. I am the chauffeur, the chaperone, the guardian, all the things that a man's supposed to do. I'm like the help. I'm the concierge. I'm the butler. That's my role. I know it going into it. I don't even try to get mad no more. I don't even be like, you're not paying me attention. Even though I may feel that way, I'm like, bro, you're not here for that.
I do come and check on you, like, you all right?
You did.
How you doing?
You did come and check on me a couple times.
Plus, he is still working this week.
True. So
that kind of worked out.
This was a good example of we're testing out. This is test number 2 of how can Bernie, who's retired, and I, who am not retired, work while we are remotely located and Bernie's doing fun things and I'm still working. So we test that out here, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just had to get up
because I'm in Vegas. Yeah, I had to get up in the butt crack dawn of a morning because I'm still working my regular hours from 6 a.m. to 4:30
on East Coast.
On East Coast time, but I'm on West Coast time, so I had to get up at 3 o'clock every day in the morning and then work till 1:30, and then I worked a little bit of overtime most of the days, and so I had to work an additional 2 hours. So I'm off by either 1:30 or 3:30 West Coast time, so I still have time to spend time with family, but I still had to get up 3 o'clock in the morning every day. I was trying, and we were testing that out to see how that would work, and it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, so you could work anywhere.
Yeah, so now that we got the RV, we can go places. I can work remotely, and Bernie can either be with family, or do stuff, and you can be in a location where I can have fun. So this was a test case scenario, Bernie having fun and me working.
Yeah.
What do we got today? So our topic for today.
What are we talking about today, Mr. Wiggins?
We are talking about church burnout, and when do you start serving in church again after a church break or after church burnout? So where did this topic come up from?
And you might want to explain, it sounds self-explanatory, but maybe you need to explain church burnout. Maybe people don't know what that is.
I will get to that.
Okay.
Yeah. I have that in my notes. So we're also going to share 6 clues when it's time to start serving again after church burnout. And this notion came up. It was like 4 different things happened that made this topic kind of resonate in our life, in my life, and maybe we want to bring that up for us to talk about. The first was that I was watching this YouTube video. It's about a woman who was serving in church. It was a podcast, and she was serving in church, and she had stepped down from the church and stepped away from church completely because she was so burnt out, and all the things that go along with when you're serving as the executive assistant to the pastor of a big church. She was like, I can't deal with it no more. So she stepped away, and she had not yet started back at church again. And I saw that in her story, and the testimony was really good. And she said something that was real poignant that made me think and sit up. She said, based upon the anointing that's on my life and the role that I have in church, where I'm at the executive assistant level, I see things and I know things. And so when I get ready to get back into church, I can't just come back in at a regular level position. I got to go back in at, and she wasn't saying it as a pride thing, but she was saying based upon who I am, I go back in at a high level where I'm connected to the pastor or the senior leaders of the church. That's just because of the anointing that's on my life. That's what she was saying. Oh. And I was thinking, I kind of recognize with that or agree with that for me, because even if I wanted to come in at a basic level, I just want to volunteer. I just want to get involved. How I see things in church and my experience in church is eventually going to get the attention of somebody in senior leadership, and then I'm going to be pulled into something that's going to involve me interacting with the pastor, or I'm going to see something that's being done or not being done correctly, and I'm going to be like, oh, I need to talk to the pastor about that because that's something that needs to be fixed.
It's so funny because you tried to do that, and you tried to come in at the bottom, like when you were getting back in, and it still went to the top. Like, wait, I was just trying to do this. Next thing you know, people want you to do presentations and things.
Right. And so that's what when she said that resonated. That's the word I was looking for. It resonated with me because I was like, yeah, that's kind of how I see things. Another thing that happened was that we went out to dinner with a couple, remember, in Waldorf, and they were just getting ready to leave their church, step down and leave. And it was partially because of burnout and all the things that go along with it.
Definitely burnout.
And then another incident happened this past week where we were with a couples group that we fellowship with, that we mentor. And there was one couple there that had stepped away from that church because they were heavily involved. And I can tell just by her conversations and the way that she was talking about it, she was like, yeah, so we stepped down, we stepped away, and we haven't got back involved in church yet. And some of the things she was saying was like, okay, you've seen a lot, because trauma recognized trauma. And so I was like, so-and-so, tell me, what did you do in church? She's like, well, I was doing this, that, and the third. I was like, oh, and so you had this example and this experience. And I started articulating some of the things that she probably would have gone through. She's like, hey, exactly. I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And so she had not yet joined back. And it was funny because one of the reasons why they stepped down was because they had their first or second child. I think it's first child. And so when they had the first child, they had to take a little step back. Mm-hmm. The church felt some type of way and started acting funny. And when she saw that the church was acting funny, that's when they was like, okay, we out completely. And I said, what did the church say?
With the second baby or the first one?
I can't remember if it was the second or the first one.
It don't matter. Go ahead.
I said, what did the church say when you kind of stepped away? She said, we didn't wait to find out. She said they were gone.
Wow.
And so I was like, Yeah, I understand that. And then the last thing that happened was, so when we'll kind of get into this, I was recently approached by a leader in my church to help out with something initiative that they want to start. And so I'd be starting from the ground level. And I was like, I had not got back into church since my church break, and we'll get into that. And I was like, should I jump back in?
Not back into church, because you go to church, you haven't got back into ministry or being a part of serving in some type of ministry.
Right. I had not got back into serving in ministry since my church break. When I say church break, we didn't leave. We never left going to church. Well, there's a pandemic, first of all.
Right. But you mean serving in a certain ministry when you say break.
Right.
You haven't been a part of a certain ministry. And when I say ministry, like, I don't know, whatever.
Right.
Different ministries inside the church you could serve in.
So I wasn't serving in any ministries in the church. Right. I had taken a break from serving in ministry.
Right. That's what you mean. Not church break all the way away from church.
So I am in the beginning stages of thinking about. Actually, I'm not in the beginning stages anymore. I'm in the advanced stages of thinking about getting back into serving in ministry in church again. And I'm having kind of conflicting thoughts about it. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. And I'm kind of torn, praying about it. But, so this is the journey that, I'm on. But I wanted to ask you, because after the COVID and we were getting back into service, going back into church, you were a part of the praise and worship team at our church, and you were heavily involved. You were leading songs and so forth. So how was it getting back in for you after your church break and serving in ministry?
Getting back into praise and worship?
Yeah.
I actually still feel like, and I still feel like I'm adjusting.
Okay.
Because I think the only reason why I feel like I'm still adjusting now that I'm back, because I think I've been back since last November. I've been singing. I think I came back in November of last year. Yeah. So, but I still feel like I'm adjusting, because pre-COVID and post-COVID, it is so different.
What do you mean?
The praise and worship team and how we operated, because Charles is gone, and it's just a whole different setup the way it was before.
Charles was their ministry
vocal director. And he was like over everything. But now everything
he passed away suddenly.
Yeah. It wasn't from COVID or anything.
Yeah.
Like last December. No, it's been over a year now.
Has it been? Okay.
It was
last year.
I feel like it was the day after my birthday.
Oh.
Because it was like the 17th of December.
Okay.
I think it's been a year, because I remember people talking about anniversary. But anyway, because the setup is so different now, where we're all together, all the campuses are always together, and before we would just be singing Atlanta, but now you can sing all over. I mean, different places. It just depends where they staff you. You go this campus this Sunday, that campus that. Even though I've been doing one at one point, but like when I go back, I'm gonna be at a different campus.
So what was it that made you? Because I remember you were going through some consternation about wanting to actually get back into service.
I wasn't sure I was gonna come back.
Yeah.
But what I did know, what I wanted to do, I planned on. I wasn't sure if I was gonna come back, but I did plan on sticking my toe in and seeing if I would stay.
Okay. So
I stuck my toe in, and I almost stepped back out.
Talk about it. Why?
The whole setup was just completely different, and I wasn't sure it was going to be for me because of the way the setup was. I felt like they were still trying to work some things out.
Since Charles was gone.
Yeah, because it was one person kind of like in charge of everything. But now I feel like it was a group of people in charge, and it was just like a lot of it was like the dust had not settled on how things were going to be done. So I think the dust has mainly settled now, and this is the process, and so it's more back to a well-oiled machine like it was before, but it's just a different kind of machine on how it operates. So I guess I feel okay. I'm still, like I said.
So you're back in it now.
I'm all the way in. I'm just adjusting still. I'm adjusting too. But I feel like because I haven't done all the campuses, I can't do the Virginia one because that's too far.
Right.
But until I do all the different ones, and I feel like I need to assess again.
Okay.
To see if, the Lord's want me to continue to serve. And I mean, I like serving on praise and worship team. I like, I like singing, and I like ministering and bringing people into worship. Hopefully they're worshiping and not just looking at us, mostly at
right, just out spectating, like, that's a good song.
Like you at a concert
with a low key 2-step.
Right. But so I feel like I'm just still in the adjusting because I haven't fully done all the campuses. So I think once that happens, I'll assess again and see how I feel about it. But I feel more positive of staying right now, for a few more years than not.
I'm trying to think about my experience when I had church burnout. I don't think I had burnout in my last thing that I did at service.
No, I think our burnout was a while ago.
Yeah, well, I kind of was feeling that when I did
the youth.
Merge, the youth ministry at my church, where I was there for almost 7 years. It seemed like, was it 7? No. Maybe like 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And this was like a very big ministry where we had basically a service once a week on Fridays from 7 to 11. And was like upwards of 300 children, 300 kids. And then I started a young adult ministry at the end of that, maybe the last year, and was leading that. And so I was kind of feeling like every year they would have a youth ministry retreat. And that youth ministry retreat was going to be at like a big place. I remember the first, a campground, like a summer camp or something like that. A ministry center, summer camp. The first year I did it, it was like fun, exciting. The second year I did it, I was like, I'm not doing this again. Because I realized that these little kids, I can't deal with. Did you
accidentally hurt somebody when you was playing? Because you do play kind of rough. I tell people they shouldn't play with you because your play, you could get hurt.
I do not confirm or deny anything injury that happened to a child.
His play.
Although this one little kid did, see what happened was, it was my idea. As the adults, as the young adult mentors, we decided there was a point in time in the retreat where all the kids would go on the field and then they were going to take this big group picture. And so while the kids were taking the picture, the adults, through an email that I sent, I said, let's bring our water guns.
Oh my gosh.
And don't tell nobody. Oh. And so we got our water guns and we snuck and filled all the water guns up.
The adults
did. Filled all our water guns up at this building. And then when they were going to take the picture, we had
Was there a real picture?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We had the people that were set up to take the picture tell the kids to face that way.
Oh.
And we was coming up from that way.
You're such a big kid at heart.
I had the water gun backpack,
machine gun,
with the 101 ounces of water plus the 40 ounces in the clip in the tank in the chamber, with the 4 different spray nozzles.
Okay.
And so we rolled up on them jokers, and a couple of them saw us coming, and when we hit it was like ga 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 ga, blah, water balloon, blah. And they was like ah, and so it was melee, straight melee. They were running
took the
around.
Picture though, right?
I don't think we ever got to take the picture.
Oh my god!
Or we may have taken the picture like another day. I don't know. But it was melee, so we had a good time. So this little youngster, why? I don't know. He decides, this little 13, 12-year-old decides to jump on my back.
Oh no. So
I just took it and flipped over.
No.
And flipped him over on the ground.
No.
Because you don't jump on somebody's back. The first, get off me. And when he flipped on the ground, he kind of hurt his ankle. He sprained his ankle. He was on crutches for the rest of the weekend.
Oh, Lord, see.
It wasn't my fault. He shouldn't have jumped on my back.
Okay.
But anyway, but after I did that retreat, I was like, okay, I'm not doing this no more, because these little kids, the time for my ministry with little kids was up. So now that's why I started the young adult ministry, because I could better serve young adults at that time than I could little children. Anyway, after that I did that for a year. I was like, okay, I'm feeling like the Lord is like, okay, you need to stop this, because this is not going to be, this is not helpful no more. So I kind of took a break after that and really did not get back involved into church ministry until we started Millie Connect. And that was church ministry, but it was we were trying to start something that the church could have taken over, but the church opted not to take it over. And so I took a break from that. But then I haven't served in church since.
Right.
Because I just felt like I needed a break. And there were some things that occurred during that Millie Connect situation that made me say, okay, maybe I shouldn't be serving here at this church at this time.
In that capacity. And you had a dream about it.
I did?
Yeah, remember the lion and the bite?
That's true. I did have a dream about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. I did.
I remember.
Yeah.
You told me about it.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I realized that, okay, it's okay for me to serve in other capacities. And that's when I started working with Elevation Global Media Group and doing work there. So that was kind of me serving in that capacity, in different capacities, but not in the church.
That's the trip how that kind of opened up around that time. Yeah. And they asked you to be a part of that radio station.
It did. And so now, we're in a situation where things may look like I may be getting back involved in serving in ministry. And so I was thinking, like, should I do it? Like, is this the right time? And I was looking up like church burnout and trying to identify what those things are. And what I looked up and researched was, I think, very interesting. And I kind of resonates with what we kind of went through in our current place of worship and our our former place of worship. And it was different things that different manifestations of church burnout and how it manifests itself in various ways. One is emotional exhaustion, feeling emotionally drained and overwhelmed because of the continued demands and pressure put on you, or that you put on yourself while serving in church.
Mm-hmm.
You have any comments about that?
No, that's a real thing. It's very self-explanatory.
Okay. You look like you're sleepy.
No.
You look like you're falling asleep. Okay. Second is spiritual fatigue. Stupid. Continuously pouring out in service to people for an extended period of time and not taking the time to rest, refill, or recharge.
Yep. And no fun. And, you're constantly giving, and then what's filling you back up? Right.
That's something that I have experienced many times. The lack of recharging and the lack of refilling. And I think I know now cyclically and from a yearly basis around October, November, I kind of feel empty if I don't do a recharge.
Yeah.
Because I kind of take a break and around December, January, and that's kind of when the ideas, my annual ideas come up. That's when we started the Heath and Bernie show, like in December, January. Like the idea came up, and then we started in February, and so it's like February, boom, 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 summertime. And so by September, I'm kind of getting tired, and by October, I'm like, and then by November, I'm like, okay, I need to take a break. And so that fatigue happens.
You need to do fun things that you like to do to recharge you, because otherwise that'll deplete you.
Yeah.
And I get recharged with nice and somber, away from people things. That charges me. That depletes me when I'm around people too much, because it's like I feel empty when I'm just too much stimulation is too much.
And that's kind of how I think in this new season of life we're in, I'm trying to balance the fun, adventurous stuff that I like to do.
Yeah.
/ house music weekend in RV.
That we just got back from South Carolina.
And then the nice, quiet, somber things that you like to do.
Yeah.
Trip to Las Vegas, visiting
being with my family.
So
that's
you
so
get
much
recharged.
fun.
Yeah.
And see how happy I got just by you mentioning that?
Yeah. And you said something after we did your retirement party.
Yeah.
When your family came into town.
Oh my God, it was the best ever. We haven't even talked about that.
No, we haven't.
No. Oh my gosh. And he surprised me. We got to do a video about that.
We got to do a whole video about that.
Oh my gosh. The best day. Best day ever.
Yeah, it was. I killed
you
it.
You did that. You did that thing.
I did kill it.
You did. I can't even top it.
I can't top it.
I do.
I can't top it.
Yeah,
I told you, I was like, it's not. It doesn't get any better than this. Your life would not get any better than today. I can't do anything better.
I said, yes, you can.
No, I cannot do anything better than that.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
So you said something during that weekend. You said, now that I've had a chance to experience like spending time with my family, I want to do more of this.
Yeah, that's kind of like why we're here today, because that kind of sparked. Because since COVID, I haven't really been around them since like 5 or 6 years ago. But
even then, even before then, you really weren't going around your family a lot.
I did more so. I feel like when my mom passed, that kind of like slowed it down a lot. Yeah. Because I used to at least go home. That was in 2009. Yeah, that was 2009. So, but before then, I would go home at least once a year or whatever. But when she passed, I felt like, I didn't really go home that much anymore, because I would go home and be with her while everybody else is at work. But now that she's not there, and I would go home, they be at work. What am I doing? I could be sitting up somewhere by myself. I could be sitting at home by myself. And then now sharing, being like here in Las Vegas. Right. Why now this is the place we got to come for us to all be together with the monarchs in the family now. Monarchs. Did I say that right?
Matriarchs. Monarchs.
Matriarchs.
You be trying too hard. Anyway, physical and mental health fatigue, stress-related symptoms such as headaches, insomnia, anxiety, and depression may arise due to the overwhelming responsibilities, expectations, and relationships with different church people. That's one of the manifestations of what church burnout is. 4 more: strained relationships, irritability, lack of patience, and difficulty maintaining healthy connections with fellow church members, leaders, and even family and friends. I was going to say something about that. I was thinking about how people. That was going to be another topic, another one. Loss of joy, loss of purpose and joy. When you lose your sense of purpose and joy in serving, here it is. You stop caring about the quality of your contribution or the end product. You are okay with putting anything out there for the people, and you don't care anymore. And that's some. When I get there, I've been there before. Like, I just don't care. Like, whatever. Like, I'm serving this, or I'm counting money. I'm like, is it wrong?
Oh my God.
Yes, it's right. Or like certain quality of preparation I would do beforehand. I'm like, I don't.
I remember when I was falling off from the boot camp.
Yes, I was just thinking about that.
You was tired of putting, because it's a lot of work setting that stuff up for, the team building stuff on the land out there.
I remember taking a picture. We did a boot camp, and I remember after the boot camp, we would be like, okay, we're gonna go like to first watch, go to lunch or something, because the boot camp was from 9 to 12.
Always 3 hours.
From 9 to 12, and then afterwards we would go to lunch, and then we would do whatever we need to do for the rest of the day. But I remember we did a boot camp 9 to 12, and afterwards we were spent. I was tired. I was like done for the day. Yeah. And I threw my clothes on the banister in our house, and I sat on the couch for the rest of the day in my underwear. I was just so tired, and I took a picture of it. And I was like, this is sad. And I was like, okay, things have changed. Like, I used to not be this beat.
And we were getting older, because we had been doing the boot camp for a long time. And I mean, you should probably explain the boot camp. People may not know that.
Well, the boot camp is a business that we had where we had a ropes course and obstacle course built on 14 acres of wooded land. And we used to take couples there to focus on their communication, trust, and leadership in their relationships. Take couples and singles there and do fun activities, games, and so forth. Or
families who wanted to do a team building stuff. Yeah. Or a group of girlfriends who wanted to do team building.
Church groups and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Leadership groups in church.
Yeah. So that was our boot camp. That was our relationship boot camp that we did for
a long time.
17 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
We started young and ended it when we were older.
Right. So we retired our boot camp in 2017.
Yeah.
And that's when we kind of took a shift. So that's what that is. Anyway, faith crisis. When church goes wrong. When church goes wrong, you question what it taught. Oh, when church goes wrong, you question what it taught.
You. What it taught you.
What it taught you. You struggle with what you once believed, doubt the fundamentals of your faith, and distance yourself from church and church people. I've seen this happen many, many times.
I saw a guy who talked about, it's one of those, it's that guy that we see every now and then. I don't even know that guy's name now talking. The one that said he told his wife how he felt about her when they was just friends. That guy. I don't know his name. Anyway, he was talking about what. Huh?
I don't know who you're talking about. We know this person?
No, we don't know him.
Oh.
The one that we be watching, that guy, he walked away from his church because now he does podcasts.
Oh, yeah, Tim Ross?
Is that his name?
The one with the hat?
And the hat. Yeah, anyway,
Tim Ross.
I think this was him that said that. He's like, when people, have a faith crisis and leave the church and like done with God altogether in general, he said, but when you go to a bad restaurant, you don't go to no other restaurant. You don't stop going to restaurants in the whole wherever you are.
Yeah.
So he was saying, why do people like just be done with God altogether?
Well, I think that's a very...
And you have a bad meal in a restaurant and something happens bad, you don't stop going to restaurants.
So I agree with that, yes, in principle. I do remember him saying that. But I think you have to give credence to that, the experience of the person that has gone through that situation. Depending upon how bad it was, that may have, if it came from a leadership level, or if it came from a systematic church level, like think about the Hillsong documentary.
Oh God!
Like, what if you were a part of that church and you were built up in that church, and everything that church taught you realized was taught by basically criminals.
Yeah.
You'd be like, wait a minute. So if you completely turn all away from God from that, I could understand. Why? That's why the Bible talks about woe unto him that causes the least of these to stumble or fall. But
too, also, that's why people, once again, you shouldn't put your faith in man because they're human. Right. So it talks about, I don't want to say, well, I'm going to say the maturity of your relationship, because it shouldn't be all in the person, the four walls and the people running the four walls.
Go ahead.
Yeah, some people are on that level and they're not. When like when they get to church, go through a faith crisis, if their relationship with, if that relationship is more in tune with the
gospel, Bible, church,
more in tune with the
pastor, leader,
senior SRC.
Oh gosh,
senior shepherd in charge.
Oh my goodness,
SRC, whatever. If that's all that their end all be all, or you
that kind of goes
that's
to
where the problem lies.
The last one, which is identity crisis. You become consumed with the position and title you have at church so much that you have no grace when dealing with other church members, co-workers, and families. When the identity crisis, like you become that pastor, or you become the person of position, that you just walk around like, I'm the boss, I am in charge, I'm the leader, or you're so legalistic in the things that you do. Like think about like a usher with the nasty attitude that won't let you chew gum, putting your hand out and like spit old school, spit the gum in the usher's hand. You become so legalistic. You become so, and I've seen people in like deacons at other churches that people have got kicked out of because they were like, I'm the deacon and no one's going to come in here and tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. But regarding that faith crisis, I know of somebody who, when all the people that they used to fellowship with, they all turned on that person because that person wouldn't go along with the group think dynamic, I'll call it. There was a certain thing that everybody was doing, and the way that they felt about a certain thing, and this person didn't go along with it. And because of that, they were like vilified by the church, by that group, the social friend group, and some of them were ministers and leaders in the church.
Wow.
So as a result of that, they were like, I'm not effing with no church folks. I'm not going back to church. I'm not doing nothing with them, because it was the church that turned against her. And because of that, I understand. And she's a very nice person. And I mean, she came to the Lord in that church and grew. Not she didn't grow up. She was already grown, but she like developed her faith in that church. And if those church people then turn on you because you don't think the way that they want you to think, then I could see why, you turn away from church. Now, does that mean that she's not saved anymore? Or what Tim Ross says? Does it mean that like you shouldn't be so attached to the person? Well, the fact that the issue is that because she wasn't attached to the person and she was attached to her faith, when the people who were attached to the person didn't, turned on her, she was like, I don't want nothing to do with y'all.
That church love is like some of the hardest love to receive, because it's kind of like crazy sometimes.
Do you believe that people should take church breaks, even though they may kind of be burnt out? And when I say church breaks, I mean, do you like they should step away from the church and either stop serving in ministry or like just step away from the church completely altogether? Because that's what that one woman did in that YouTube video. She said she stepped away from church altogether. She said she had anxiety just walking in a church building.
Ooh, that's bad.
And I resonated with that because she said she can't go to church at a certain point, and she's just starting to get back in because she was at the level where she knows how everything operates.
Oh yeah, you see too much.
And so when you're seeing church operate, you're not looking at the worship service, you're looking at the operational component of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I declare, that's what I be doing.
You need to shut
I'd be like,
off.
okay, this is okay, where they should be coming in, okay, the
you do that. Now. But you do that everywhere you go.
Yeah, but in church
you do that in church, but that's what I'm saying. It's a part of you. You always look at people's process, and like if we at a show, you looking at something like, oh, that's they set up. Look at the camera. That's like, the so and so, the production.
In church on Sunday, I was looking at Pastor Battle preach, and when he was walking, I was walking from side to side like he typically does. I was looking at the lighting on his forehead to see if the lighting would fade off.
Who does that?
I was seeing if the lighting would fade off like it used to, because there was a spot on the stage where he would get real dark because there was no light on that spot. And I was like, I wonder if they fixed it. I was like, oh, they did fix it.
Chris, you hear that? Chris.
I was like, they did fix it. And so I looked up at the lighting position. I was like, which light was added? So that I could, not so that I can do anything, but I was like, which light that was added, and so and so and so and so. I was like, okay, all right. So that's
what I'm saying. You do that all the time.
And I was like, and there just many things. And so she was like, because she saw stuff, she's like, oh, I know they're going to get, balled out because of that. And she was like looking at stuff. So for her, taking a church break was like, I can't walk into church because of the anxiety that I get. But do you believe that you should take a church break?
I think it depends. Sorry. I think it depends, because I feel like if people have a good balance and are in a place where they can have a good balance, because sometimes you're at a church when you try to have a balance and that's a problem, but that ain't every. I mean,
what you mean?
Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. But I'm just saying, if you're in a place where you can have a balance and it ain't like a whole lot of, I don't want to say bondage, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I think if you don't have that balance, sometimes you might need a church break, because until you can like have a balance of having life and even, you know what I'm saying, like both. It shouldn't be where your house is not being taken care of because you always at the church, or you can't do this because you need a balance.
I remember I was told,
oh boy,
about the balance thing that, Jesus told the person, if you forsake your father and mother, and come follow me. So, you should be forsaking all those other things. I was just trying to cut my grass, but that was told.
I was just trying to cook Thanksgiving dinner one night, and it was a night they was having,
you had to go to church. I
couldn't lead praise and worship that night, but because I had to cook. But that was, I just was trying to
study for my exam that I had in my master's degree program that I was finishing up. But we had a service, and I went, and I was like, I gotta go. As soon as the service is over, I gotta go home and study for an exam tomorrow. They were like, dude, just go home now. I was like, I can't. The guilt and the weight on me to leave was so heavy. And somebody was like, go. And I was like, okay.
We was just trying to have traditions.
That's one of the things.
For Christmas Eve, you had traditions that you used to do all the time, and so you try to incorporate it in our family and have Christmas Eve traditions.
Upsetting. That was so upsetting.
And we started them, and then we had to stop. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I'll say more. We could not create our own family traditions that I wanted to create on Christmas Eve because our church had to have a Christmas Eve service every year, and
on Christmas Eve
night. And, as leadership, I had to be there. Could not be there. And Bernie's praise and worship team, she had to be there. So for years, decade and plus, we could not create our own. So we recently thought about that. Like, we don't.
It's like, why we don't have no tradition?
Yeah, I'm like, what do we do? Cause like we was in church. That's why. I was like,
Darn it. Okay.
So, anyway. I was going to ask why we took our latest church break and what led to us starting to serve again.
Well, mine was COVID.
Yeah.
Because COVID kind of made everybody take a break. That's why because I was singing before that, right? It was rolling. I was rolling. I was all the way up in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I had. But I didn't go back right away either. So
no.
I took a little. It took me a minute to get back up in there.
Yeah, I think we talked about this question earlier. My church break really was not from serving in church directly in the ministry. I was starting a new ministry that could have taken off if the church would have decided to move with it. They decided not to, which was their prerogative. I'm not saying that they should have.
Right.
But the work that I was doing in that, and then the fact that nothing materialized. Well, that's not true. The church did not take up the ministry that we had started. And so I was like, okay, I need to take a break. And that was the reason why I took a break. And then some of the things that were said during that time was like, okay, maybe I don't need to serve in this church at this time right now. Right. And that's when I had that dream. Oh yeah, that's when I had that dream. And the Lord was like, yes, no, you don't worry about that. You do what I'm leading you to do. And then that's when Elevation Global Media Group came along and I started working there. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm still doing. And I remember praying like, Lord, I just want to, because we had retired our boot camp and I was tired of running a business. I was tired of like having to get clients and do all the things that you need to do to have a successful business. And I was like, I just want to work and serve and do the things that I like to do without having to run a business. And then that's when Elevation came along, and it was Cassandra that had the business, and she needed somebody with my background and my operations eye to run the operations side.
Right.
And I was like, this is perfect. And I was like, yes, this is great. So I worked there for 3 years and then got burned out there.
It's a whole nother story.
Right. But yeah, Elevation was great, a great transition. So here are 6 clues to when it's time to start serving again after church burnout. So this is what I came up with. Bernie will have her input on that. But this is just my list, so I just want to share that.
And I don't know what he's about to say, but I'll comment. And
don't be looking.
I wanted to see the question.
No.
You want me to just be comment if I have something to say?
Yes. So number 1 is 6 clues when it's time to start serving again after church burnout. When you want to. And not before.
Yeah, that's
when
true.
You want to and not before. I was doing some research on this, and 2 scriptures that came to mind. One was Ecclesiastes chapter 3, when it talked about there's a time for everything, and a time for every activity under the sun. Ecclesiastes.
You know that was a scripture on our wedding invitations?
Was it? It was.
I always liked that scripture. That's why I put it on our wedding invitations.
Okay. I didn't know why you did that, but I was okay with it.
Because it was a time. Don't you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
It was a time and a season for everything.
But I didn't know why that scripture was like on our wedding invitation. Like out of all the scriptures about love and stuff like that, you said there's a time for it.
But I guess it was more kind of selfish because I was thinking about in getting married. It's a time and season for getting married and whatever. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking of. I don't know. I mean, I got the invitation, so you don't know that was my thought pattern on why I had that scripture on there. It was time to get married.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
But the Ecclesiastes scripture, when I looked at in chapter 3, there's a time for everything. And it was very interesting because that scripture said there's a time to tear down and a time to build. There's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. There's a time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. And
I like that silent part.
Yeah, I know you do. I thought about you when I read that. There's a bunch of other things in there. But I was like, that's interesting that in that scripture, it really highlights the season. It says it's a season for every activity. And so wherein churches kind of want you to serve. 24/7. Yeah, as much as possible. Our church isn't so dogmatic about that now.
No.
Not now. I'm not going to put Zion out there like that.
No, I don't think Zion's like that because there's so many people.
Yeah.
To serve. I mean, when you're in a little storefront.
But there's other churches, the couple that we talked about earlier who was storefront, or the couple we talked about who was considering stepping down from ministry. You want you to serve. There's a seasonality for you to serve in a certain capacity. And this scripture talks about that. And that kind of like resonates with me when I was reading it because I was like, you should go into serving ministry knowing that there's a season for you to serve. Like with Elevation, I did that for 3 years and I was looking for that at that time. And I did it. I did a great job at it. And I learned things about that. That's what got me interested into doing podcasts and stuff.
In
production, I kind of cut my teeth in that field. And I created a whole podcast and from soup to nuts. And that was very fun for me. I almost had a heart attack, but
oh Lord Jesus,
I was stressed out a lot, but it was really, really a fun time. And so, but I think for me going into serving again, I know that I'm not going to just be doing this until like the rapture. Well, I don't know when the rapture's coming, but I'm not going to be doing this like until I die. There's a season for me to do these things. And so it's not about, okay, you got to go into it and jump right back into it right away. Because in that scripture in Ecclesiastes 3, I read Ecclesiastes 2 and Ecclesiastes 1 to get some context. And basically what Solomon was talking about, he was talking about, I have explored all the things. I have explored pleasure, have explored wisdom, have explored folly, have explored work. And all these things are meaningless. And he was saying they're meaningless because, at the end of the day, basically this is summarizing all those two chapters. At the end of the day, you're going to die just like the stupid person, the fool, the person who doesn't have wisdom. You're going to die just like them. Like the animals that you see running around the street, they're going to die. You're going to die too. Mm-hmm. And anything that you have, you're going to leave over to somebody else that's going to take it, and you don't know what they're going to do with it.
Right.
They may be a fool or they may do something great. And after generations from now, you are a part of a big plan and you're just one little small spoke in it, and people are going to forget you. So all this stuff that we're doing right now is just meaningless. You're saying, but what is the gift from God is that you enjoy your work, you enjoy your food, and you enjoy your drink.
Back up. You said enjoy your food?
He said enjoy your food.
What?
Yes. Enjoy. And he said that in chapter 1, he said that. In chapter 2, he said that. In chapter 3, he said that. And I know in chapter 7, he said it again. But out of all that you do in life, enjoy the work that you do.
Yeah.
Enjoy the food that you eat and enjoy the drink. That is the gift from God out of all the wisdom.
But I do feel like when it talks about it's a season and time for everything.
Yeah.
I feel like in ministry, how that relates to ministry, I feel like there's a season and time to be in ministry because in those seasons when you're in there, I feel like the Lord is so funny because I feel like he puts you in specific ministries for a specific time frame because somebody at that time needs whatever you have at that time. And so you have to be in the right position to be in that ministry at that time to do whatever the Lord wants you to do. But you don't die in the darn ministry. It's time to move on. He needs you somewhere else.
And I think that is the misnomer that the church does not teach. That you are to serve in a ministry for a season and then move on.
Right. To something else. Right. Somebody needs you somewhere else. In something else.
Yeah. And that I think is if we would have got that, if I would have got that teaching, then that would have made me feel like, okay, I'm supposed to serve in a ministry while God has gifted me to do these things. And then eventually that's going to wane and fall away so that I don't feel like, oh, I have to leave this. And there's such a stigmatism about you not serving in ministry anymore.
I know.
Or you walking away from ministry.
If you think about it, we don't stay the same.
That's true.
Our whole lives.
That's a good point.
We change constantly from the time we first got married. Look how much has changed over the 25 years. Or the time who we are as a person, even before marriage and afterwards, just who you are as a person. You never stay the same. There's always seasons and things we evolve and change and have different mindsets, and you do things differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when I talked about 6 clues for when it's time to start serving again after church burnout, when you want to, is because after that season is up, then you need to decide when you want to serve in another ministry, what that ministry is, because all this work that we're doing is meaningless. And the best thing that you can do is enjoy the work that you're doing. And if you're serving in church, find that church ministry that you enjoy and just do that while you enjoy it during that season. Because otherwise you're all the, as Solomon said, all this running around. He said, I built kingdoms, I built buildings, I built architecture, I built gardens and reservoirs, I built all these things. I've had women, I've had slaves, I've done all these, and all that stuff is meaningless. It was so funny because he said, I even experienced with pleasure. I even experienced with pleasure. And while I was doing all these stupid things, my mind was tormenting me because I knew the right thing to do.
Oh my gosh. That is how we think though.
It is.
We do know but see, that's why you should be walking in your gift, whatever the Lord is telling you to do, because nothing else makes sense.
Yeah.
You just out here wilding out, and all you have to do is just walk in your gift where you're comfortable.
Exactly.
You're prospering in that.
Right.
Somebody's learning something from you. You're giving back something. You're helping somebody.
And that's that work. That's the work that you enjoy your work. You enjoy the toil of your labor. That's the work that you enjoy doing. Yeah. And so don't get back into serving in ministry until you want to, and not before, even if, you feel pressure to get back in. So number 2 is after you have been spiritually refilled. And that kind of goes to the point I was making earlier about me feeling drained and depleted at the end of the year. And I kind of need to take a break in December, January to get refilled. And you need to have that refreshing and that refilling so that you can be empowered to serve again.
How do you get refilled?
Well, see, that varies.
You're saying spiritually filled. Do you mean just because you said spiritually refilled?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is when you are pouring out, especially when you're serving in ministry where you have to teach or you have to dig into the word and find out what it says and then tell other people and then or mentor people or shepherd or pastor. Even if I'm not talking about being the senior pastor, but if you're pastoring people, the office or the work, not the office, but the work of pastoring. If you're pastoring people, then that stuff takes of you. It pulls from you. God gives you the gifts and he pulls that stuff from you for other people. And that's how it should be. But if you're not getting anything from God, if you're not reading the word to connect with God, if you're just reading the word to study so that you can share, then the things that you're reading are not for you. You're not being built up by the word that you're reading for other people.
That kind of go with that sermon that Bible taught a couple of weeks ago when he said, me preaching this to y'all don't do nothing for me. If I don't go and fill his tank back up with learning how he needs to do whatever the word says for his life and his family.
Exactly.
It does nothing.
Yeah, and you need to separate the time that you spend studying the word for edification and then diving into the word for self-edification.
Yeah, I get it.
And so But you need to do that. You need to be spiritually filled, because if you get up there and start trying to serve again and you haven't had that feeling, even if you've had time away, you may have had a year away, but you didn't fill yourself up, you're still giving on an empty tank.
Yeah.
It's like if your car is sitting in the parking lot for a year and you don't put no gas in it, it's still empty when you drive it again.
Yeah, sugar in the tank.
What?
I don't know.
Come on, sugar in the
tank.
Well, the
car won't work if you put sugar in the tank. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, that has nothing to do with the point I was making.
No, it does, because it's not filled up with gas. It won't go. You don't have that in your tank.
Oh, okay.
You put sugar in the
so
tank.
if you put something, it's a good example.
Come on.
I'm gonna make your example make sense.
All right.
If you put
make sense.
If you put something else in your tank other than the spiritual fuel, you may put something like sugar that absorbs the fuel and takes away from the function of the fuel, or the function of the word, or the function of the spirit that's inside of you, and it messes you up personally. Like if you were to take like if you were to like not be in church and then you just go on a porn binge.
Wow.
That's sugar in the tank.
Whew, okay. All the way to the left. Okay.
But I'm thinking about, if you out there and you're looking at porn, that's sugar in the tank, and I'm going to start serving again.
Oh, what? Gosh, no.
Yeah, you got sugar in your tank.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. You made it make sense.
I made it make sense.
Okay.
Number 3, after you have made some progress dealing with the emotional and physical damage suffered, so this is the clue when you need to start serving again in church, is after you have made some progress dealing with the emotional and physical damage you have suffered. So here's the stipulation. You have to deal with the church hurt if you had any kind of those experiences, and whatever emotional or physiological damage that you have from that experience. Like I'm thinking about that woman who's like stopped going to church completely because of the...
Was she burnt out or from church hurt? Because it's two different things.
Yes, it is.
It can be two different things.
It can be two different things.
It can be both, but I thought we talking about burnout.
Right. But if you're burned out, that's a good example. So that's a good point. So I won't use that woman. But if you're burnt out and you have some physical or emotional damage from that burnout, you need to get that. You need to start the process of getting that healed. Take some time away. Go get some therapy. Go talk to, have a tough conversation with a leader that may have wronged you, that you need to have so that you can forgive and move on, that's a real thing.
Is this the burnout?
This is the burnout.
Okay.
This is the burnout, because you may be burnt out because of some things that have happened, and there was somebody at fault, but no one ever held that person accountable. And it's not like a church hurt thing, but it's like, okay, you didn't do this. I have a perfect example that I can't give you on camera.
Okay. Hold on to it.
Right. But you may need to take the steps to have that, to get that emotional healing. But I was saying, I'm going to say, but it doesn't have to be all the way healed. Like, don't wait for that healing to like heal all the way, because the emotional or physical damage that is now a part of you is a part of your ministry now.
Oh, yeah.
It's now a part of your ministry.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you hear people say, you hear pastors and say that your misery is your ministry, or the things that hurt you are now part of your ministry, whatever kind of clever way they say that. I'm not a preacher, so the way
you learn stuff because you learn what not to do.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So those things that you used that used to hurt you, that you go get those things addressed and healed, but it's now going to be a part of your ministry. So the healing, this is good. The full healing that you're going to get takes place while serving in the next ministry. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to then see how God is going to use all that stuff for your good.
Yeah, that's called growth.
Yeah. And you don't know and can't predict what that healing journey is going to be like while serving in that other ministry. So you just have to trust God and not know and serve anyway.
Once again.
Exactly.
That's how he operates.
Yeah. So you got to be okay with not knowing. You got to be okay with working while hurting. You got to be okay with doing the work to get healed, and you got to be okay with trusting God throughout this whole process that He know more than you, and He got you.
Yep.
That was a good one. Number 4. When your joy starts to return in the work that you do. Oh yeah, when the joy starts to return in the work that you do. If you were burnt out and you were like, I can't stand doing this anymore. Like we were kind of burnt out with doing the boot camp and stuff.
Yeah.
Like if the joy started to return, like, oh, I really want to do that again. Then.
No, but you know.
Why do you make them so?
Because I was thinking about all the stuff that people had to do out in the woods and us being out there for 3 hours in the heat and the bugs and the this and the that and that was right. And I didn't feel no joy.
No.
but what we do, our passion is couples living their life to the fullest and having a good marriage, right. And just relationships, not just couples, just people having good relationships. I think we do still get joy out of that.
Yes, we do still get joy, but I got burnt out.
Yeah. You got burnt out. Yeah, you got burnt out because
I think it was a situation because I was doing a lot of pouring and not a lot of feeling.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm burnt out. I need to stop this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
But I feel like when those situations come to our doorstep.
And I think it's okay for me to be burnt out because I know now there's a time for me to talk and a time for me to not talk. There's a time to build and there's a time to break down, down.
Right. But my point is we could be anywhere and that passion will come to our doorstep. We're not trying to do nothing.
Yeah.
We're not even out of, we just somewhere and then that come to our doorstep and then, and that's the time. But those are the better times because that's not a whole lot of constant regurgitating and hearing all kinds of negative, horrible things that we got to try to fix or whatever. It's just like, this is just like, ABC.
Yeah.
Which you should have gotten a long time ago, but here's ABC. Here, like Mullen said, let me give that to the FBI. Give me this ABC right there. Remember, he's like, let me give that to the New York, whatever. Anyway.
And them issues be real. The couples and stuff that we be working with. Them issues. And y'all know.
It's some major stuff out there.
Some of you all who we work with follow us. And y'all know y'all issues. Y'all know y'all issues.
Major stuff.
And you know what we've tried to do to help in the process. And sometimes we've been successful. Sometimes we, we can no longer help. Because it had
well, we can't keep repeating the same thing. I mean, it's like I have nothing else new to say.
Yeah.
Until you do that, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. So, I've been fired before, and I fired my clients before because I was like, I can't. The things that you need to do, you're not doing, and you won't listen to me, and I don't have anything new to tell you. Bernie doesn't have anything new to tell you. So I think you need to find. Somebody that can help you better than we are.
But the good thing is, when we do step away because we can't keep repeating and we have nothing else to say, I think that helps them. I feel like they finally start doing what we said.
Look,
5-6 years ago, and then I was like, what the. Okay.
Like Paul said, look, I'm not tripping over no Apollo, no Paul. Who follows Paul? Apology. Look, some people water, some people plant.
There you go.
Some people cultivate. I'm just doing what the Lord sent me to do. Our goal is to do what He sent us to do.
Right.
And if we are our contributor of the success down the road after 3 more people behind us, then we were on duty. Our assignment is to be on duty and to serve.
Plant that seed and move on.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Speaking of keeping it moving, next one, when the new work you're doing outside the church opens up opportunities for you to do work inside the church, even if it's completely different work that you're doing. So if I think this is for me.
Repeat what we're doing, the question, because we've been going for a minute.
Okay, 6 clues when it's time to start serving again in church after burnout.
Okay.
Number 5.
No, it's on the last one, I thought.
No, number 5. When the new work you're doing outside the church opens, so you've been outside the church, you've been serving or doing other things. But in that work that you're doing outside the church opened up opportunities for you to do work inside the church, even though it is a completely different work that you're doing. And I think that works for me because the work I was doing inside the church was like youth ministry stuff or couple stuff. But now I've been doing podcasts and media stuff. And so if opportunities open up inside the church for me to do that, and it's like, okay, hey, maybe the Lord has allowed me to step outside and to be refilled and to do things that I like doing. And then church, then God is opening up opportunities. Okay, I've trained you outside. Now I need you to come execute this in my kingdom.
Yeah, that's how He works.
Anything you want to say more about that?
That was about it.
Okay. And the last one is when you're approached with a problem that you can solve, like Gideon and Jonah, sometimes you are called to serve even when you don't think it should be you or it's not your time. So you should start serving again in church when you are approached with a problem that you can solve, even though like Gideon and Jonah, they were like, hey, God, why are you calling me? I'm just the youngest of the least. I'm the least of the tribe and the youngest in the tribe of the worst tribe in all of Israel. So
that sounds like Moses too. He's like, why me? I can't even talk.
Exactly.
I feel like Moses all the time. But it's the same.
Yeah. So if you don't think that if you don't think that you're ready, or if you don't think that it's like, no, somebody else should be doing this, that may be God calling you. Now, this kind of seems contradictory to things of what I said in the beginning, like don't start until you want to, and there's a time and place for everything. But also God is God, and God may be like, Gideon, I need you to lead my people. Moses, go ahead and get my people from Egypt and take them out to the promised land. Jonah, I need these people in Nineveh to be ministered to. You gonna do that for me? Let's go ahead and handle that. No, I'm going the opposite way. Okay.
Okay.
Ship.
Like tell the millennials. Right. Okay. Go on now.
Ship. Okay. They kicked you off the boat. Really, the thing about Jonah is that they threw him over the board to kill him. They didn't throw him over the board so that a big fish could eat him and keep him. They didn't know that. They were like, you got to go. And so they were throwing him overboard in the middle of the ocean or middle of the sea so he can die because that curse was on him. So my point, there's times where God just is going to be God. He can be like, you, ma'am, sir, it's time for you to go. But I got a healing to do. I got more stuff to do. I got to wait. I'm not healed yet. I understand that. Now go. And you just got to be obedient and trust God that He is going to lead you and direct you along the process. And you're not going to feel comfortable doing it.
No.
And that's what I struggle with. Like, how do you know the difference? Like, how do you know, okay, yeah, this is God saying go, or this is me feeling pressure and guilt because I haven't done anything in a year. And it's a time. I don't know if it's time for me to do it yet. So I'm going to just hem and haw outside the double Dutch line. Like, okay, maybe I should jump in. Maybe I should jump in. How do you handle that, Bernie?
How do I handle what?
Yeah, I mean, how do you like determine? Okay, yeah, I should be going because God said to go, and I should be obedient. Versus maybe it's not my time, because you be double dutching.
I'm gonna be honest. I ain't good at. I'm not good at knowing when it's my time to do, because here's the thing. I feel like God has gifted us, and I feel like God knows exactly who I am. I feel like He knows exactly who you are. I feel like He knows all the things that I can and can't do, all the things I don't feel comfortable doing. I think He knows all things that make me comfortable, whatever, or how, I have these whatever hang-ups, whatever, your hang-ups.
Yeah.
So I feel like He knows that, so He puts me in situations that pushes those hang-ups, or
go ahead.
They're supposed to push those hang-ups, but sometimes
push them away or push. I don't know. What do you mean by push those hang-ups?
Well, sometimes I feel like I might be in a situation where I don't. For me, I don't feel like that's not my personality. I shouldn't be doing that, and I feel like that's not that. To me, I feel like God would not set me up like that. So to me, those are the times I don't feel like that's God.
When you don't feel like God would set you up like that because it's outside of who you kind of feel.
Who He has created me to be. Like, for example, God not going to tell me, you need to go speak over this church and do a whole presentation in front of 100-something people on whatever. That's what I need you to do. He not gonna tell. That's a set. That God, come on now.
Yeah, he tell me to do that.
Right. Who? What? Didn't I say I was Moses? I can't even talk. What? Now, so if somebody were to ask me to do that, like somebody asked me a long time ago, like, you preaching now? This is an old family friend, whatever, because we grew up in church, but then they saw me, whatever. I think I might have sang at a funeral. My personality and the way I sing is different than the way I talk and who I am. Yeah. So people think that that's the way I sing is how maybe whatever. And I think this person that just saw me sing, I think I had sang at my sister's funeral or something, whatever. But from that, the next sentence was, are you preaching? Lord, you don't know who I am.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? I don't think he'll put me in those like when
I see what
so
you're saying,
far out.
But I think
But now let me say the areas where where he knows I can do, even those areas I have a hard time moving forward.
You be backpedaling.
I do backpedal. I'm not gonna lie.
You be Usher skating backwards.
I do skate backwards. I flow with it because I'm very uncomfortable with something.
Yeah, Bernie has this backpedal ministry that is like even if she agrees to do something, you're like, maybe it's like once you agree to do it, you're like, well, do I have to do it? Do I still want to? Okay, I'll go ahead and do it. I'd be pushing Bernie to follow through with the things that she does because I know for her, it's something that somebody needs from her that only she can give them. And God has put that in you to give. And just this whole podcast, I would not be doing this podcast unless you were doing it with me. Even though all the stuff that I do to put it together, I know I can't do this without you because there's things that you provide that I don't have and can't give. And I understand that completely. I created this whole podcast for Bernie to shine.
Oh my goodness. And I'm just here, just being myself.
Exactly.
But it did take you a while for me to be like, okay, yeah. Because you told me a few years, see, that's how you know me well. You told me, like, we hadn't even moved yet. When you said, we're getting ready to start, like, a couple of years ago, maybe about 2 years ago. You said, it was probably before COVID. It was before COVID. It was a while ago. You had said, but it wasn't podcast. It was like, we're going to start doing those videos again.
Oh, yeah,
that we used to do before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you just didn't call it podcast.
Right.
You see what I mean? You already, I remember that.
Yeah.
So mentally, I was getting ready in my mind so we could get here.
Right.
It takes me a
while to,
be okay with stuff.
Even though she is very good at what she does, which is just being Bernie. And that's all I asked her to be. So, yeah. So these are the topics that we have for today. 6 clues when it's time to start serving again after church burnout. Let us know what you think about these topics. Let us know if you have any other items you want to add to this, or you have any comments about this topic. Please let us know in the comments. Again, if you see these clips like this on social media, please go back and watch the whole YouTube video so that we can get more eyes on it and you can see the whole thing of everything that we're talking about.
And subscribe.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do all things. Please take the time to go ahead and do that and watch the whole video if you like. And absent of that, Bernie,
we out.
Peace.